Welcome to episode 4 of the Beyond Fear podcast. I'm Jen Coppock, and today we're going to be looking at the importance of protein whilst taking Mounjaro or Ozempic, any of the GLP-1 RAs. Let's just break it down. What is protein? So protein is basically one of the macronutrients. So macro, big nutrients that we consume in our daily nutrition. There are 3 macronutrients: carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Carbohydrates and fats kind of work the same, okay? They're slightly different, but on a whole, they both produce energy. So they're the energy makers. Protein, however, is a separate thing. It's something our bodies, I'll say, don't make. I'll get to that later, but it can't make protein. It can't make it from anything else. Your body can only take it from what you eat. And it's effectively building blocks for your body. So it's not about being there for energy. It is about, you need protein in order to create new cells, new tissue, build muscle in the body. Now, getting enough protein is important. It's important for everybody. It's important for muscle health, immune function, and maintaining a healthy body. It helps with your skin. It helps with your nails. It helps with everything. It's about creating and replacing cells, basically. It's important for everybody in their diet. It's especially important when taking Mounjaro or Ozempic, Wegovy, any of the semaglutides, all the weight loss drugs. Why is it important? Well, I'll get onto a study in the Nerd Alert, but when you are losing weight, your body will break down the fat stores to create more energy, but you will lose muscle mass, or lean mass is probably the more correct term to use. When you concentrate on eating protein, you will help to reduce the loss of that lean mass, okay? So the worst thing you could do is go on Mounjaro, you lose 5 stone, it turns out half of that was muscle, you're now super duper lean and super duper skinny, but you don't have any muscle. So muscle burns energy for you. So you end up at target weight, finally 9 stone, whatever you wanted to be, but you've lost all your muscle. And then you kind of start returning back to normal, eating whatever you're eating, or maybe not, or making changes and stuff, but you won't be able to burn the same amount of energy as you did before because you won't have as much muscle mass. So you'll have lost a lot of your muscle, a lot of the good stuff, a lot of things. That muscle will help fix metabolism, help fix metabolic dysfunction. And when you lose that, you're potentially going to be lighter on the scales, but your body could potentially be in a worse state than it was effectively when you're starting, in a way. So, it's, what do you want? Do you want the weight loss? Do you want fat loss versus muscle loss? The ideal scenario is you have the weight loss, but build on your muscle, or at least maintain it. If you manage to maintain or build on your muscle and lose the fat, great. You're going to be in a fantastic metabolic state at the end of your journey, Mounjaro journey, whether you go on maintenance or whatever. But you're going to be in a better place for it. So the purpose of eating the protein is to make sure that your body is getting enough nutrients to recreate the cells, to strengthen the cells, to make more muscle, to make sure you don't lose all your hair. I don't think anyone's going to lose all that hair, but thinning hair, losing hair is a thing that keeps getting mentioned in the group a lot. Nails, your skin, it's used throughout the body, really. One of the problems with Mounjaro and Ozempic, they impact on what you feel like you want to eat. So it helps to stop you getting hungry. So people stop eating as much food as they should ideally be eating. I know a lot of people count calories, and I'll give you all a heads up. I don't believe in counting calories. I've done it way too many times in my life, and I've started this journey not counting any calories at all, and it's so freeing. But if you are counting calories and that's working for you, stick with it. Find what works for you and stick with that. Own it. Be happy with it. My focus is more on having variety and having nutrient-dense foods. When I started taking Mounjaro, I found that I wasn't really getting hungry. I was forgetting to eat. It'd get to 1, 2 o'clock, and I think, oh, I'm not had any lunch. I better go get something to eat. I never really had a problem eating whatever I put in front of myself. But I had to make sure that what I was eating, I knew I wasn't going to have a huge appetite. So what I was eating had to be gold. It had to be really good for my body. I didn't want to just fill it with bread or crackers or crap, basically. I wanted to make sure that I was getting a wide variety of nutrients in, so for my microbiome and for my body, really. So protein itself actually gets broken down into what they call amino acids. And then you've got essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. Now, don't be fooled, they are all essential. The reason why the ones that are non-essential are called non-essential amino acids is because your body can make them through other cells. So when your body is replacing cells, rebuilding, recycling cell tissue, muscle tissue, whatever's in the body, when it's breaking it down, it can strip it back to amino acids, put them back together again as other amino acids, and it's quite interchangeable. They can be reused and recycled. Essential amino acids, on the other hand, you can only get them through eating, and you can only get them eating a variety of food, which is why instead of counting calories, I've focused my efforts on, and you know, if you want to copy this, feel free. I'll put it all some sort of plan at some point, but by focusing on variety, so trying to make sure that you're eating different foods throughout the day, trying to change it up a little bit each day. To be honest, I'm quite boring, and I eat the same sort of breakfast and the same sort of lunch every day. My evening meal will change, but on a whole, I do tend to eat the same sort of things. But I base them around the protein, and I try my best to make sure I don't eat the same food more than once. So I think like Western diets, like one of the, you know, bread, key one. Okay, bread's evil. It's actually not that bad. White bread, yes, and a lot of brown bread is actually white bread, just in disguise. So I'd watch for that. But like, I think bread gets a lot of bad stick. But I think it's not so much the bread, it's the fact that it's how over easily consumed it is. So as bread as an example, you know, you get up in the morning, what do you have? You have toasted jam, bread. You get to lunch, and what do you have? You have sandwich. And then it's mid-afternoon snack. What do we have? A bagel, bread. It gets to the evening meal, and you have, I don't know, chip butty. I don't know, but you know, it's quite easy to all of a sudden have bread in every meal. You could easily stuff bread in every meal. And then all that does is it fuels all the gut bacteria, all your body. It gets loads of bread nutrients, all the goodness from the bread. You get that, but you do get a lot of crap with bread, to be fair, depending on the bread. But you're getting, but you're flooding your system with bread, and you're not getting anything else. You know, if you tried, so this is one of the things that I tried because I realized I'm eating way too much bread here. Try and replace the bread in every meal. Like, I'm not having bread. And what tends to happen is, right, I'm not having bread for a day, or I'm only allowed it in one meal. So in the morning you get up, and instead of having toast, you might have oats. And then all of a sudden you've got all the nutrients and vitamins, minerals, everything from oats instead of just bread. Then you get to dinner and you go, you know what, I'm not having a sandwich, I'm going to have a jacket potato. So you've got all the nutrients from the potato. Then it gets to your evening meal. You might have the bread for the evening meal. You know, fine, crack on. And then it gets to the, you know, you want to have some supper, so you have Weetabix instead of toast. And then all of a sudden you've got introducing more. So it's about trying to get as much variety in as you can. And I'm sorry I've digressed away strictly from protein, but it kind of goes along the same sort of thing in that protein is a nutrient, and protein is found in most foods. So I know we sort of say, you know, get your meat in, get your beans, your lentils. Protein is actually found in a lot of stuff. You know, if you check any label on the back of anything. I'm trying to think off the top of my head now, like oats. So oats, if you check that, I don't know the amount of protein that's going to be in it, but off the top of my head, but there is protein in oats. So, you know, you will be getting protein from having your oats. And so anyway, I'll carry on because I'm getting sidetracked now. So protein, eating the protein, it helps you with your muscle mass. So it means that you're not going to waste away and lose all your muscle mass on your weight loss journey. It helps support your metabolism. You're going to be in a metabolic state to better metabolic state at the end. It helps with your immune system as well. And like I say, it helps with your skin, your hair, your nails, all the pretty things. It also helps you feel full. So typically protein, you know, like when people advertise like the keto diet and they're trying to stuff the keto diet down your throats, a lot of that is because protein does make you feel fuller for longer. But on a whole, the main thing is your body needs it. Your body needs it in order to rebuild itself. So your body is constantly, I know we like to think of our bodies as just being like one thing, like I'm a grown up, so I don't change. Your body is constantly breaking down your cells. It is constantly rebuilding your cells. And if you're starving it of protein and you're not giving it enough protein, it's not going to be able to do the rebuilding. So it's not going to be able to repair your cells as good, as optimally as possible. And it also means that you're not going to get the muscle mass. You're not going to be able to burn the energy after the diet. You're going to be weaker, frailer. You're more likely to get injured. Lots of awful, nasty, horrible things could happen. Won't happen because you're watching this and you're going to be on it. So we're going straight into the nerd alerts, where we're going to look at a study. So this one was published in 2023. It looked at existing data from trials and studies. So it was more of a review of existing information out there. The link will be in the description, and it compared fat and muscle loss among other metrics. So whilst taking the GLP-1 RAs. It found that as much as 20 to 50% of weight loss was lean body mass. Now, I just want to highlight, lean body mass is different than muscle mass. So the lean body mass will be your muscle, but it will also be water, and it'll also be soft tissue. So, like your organs, any sort of squelchiness that isn't basically fat will be counted in this study. So you're losing 20 to 50% of non-fat body is going in there. So it's not the best study. It does say that, you go on these, you're going to lose loads of weight, but a lot of it is going to be the stuff you don't really want to lose. Water, I think, is a key one because water is in there. And, I feel a lot less bloated. I don't know how you all feel, but I feel a lot less bloated and inflamed. There are signs that it reduces inflammation throughout the body, in the joints, on the brain. It actually reduces inflammation in the brain. So it's not surprising that the number's so high. But the 20 to 50% number, that is comparable to other weight loss methods. So having like a gastric bypass, you would expect the individuals having that will lose 20 to 50% as well. So it's not like it's specific and isolated just to, if you lose weight through Mounjaro or through Ozempic, you're going to lose 20 to 50%. Yeah, you probably will. But, if you're at Slimming World or having a gastric bypass or whatever, you're going to probably lose about the same. So because you're on that weight loss journey, that is why it's more important than ever to get the proteins. Plus, as I say, you can't get it from anywhere else. Your body can't get it from any other cells in the body. Okay, you've got the non-essential ones that can strip them down and use them for other things. But there's a lot of essential ones that your body needs. And you can only get that from your diet, from your food. So by not focusing on protein, you run the risk of having deficiencies or protein deficiency with different amino acids or different proteins. What about too much protein? How do you know, what are the signs that you're having too much protein? GI distress. So if you're having too much protein, it will overwhelm your system. Typically, it'll cause bloating, wind, and diarrhea. So, is it the Mounjaro causing the GI distress that people are feeling, or is it because everyone's gone mad on protein, all of a sudden you're overloading your systems? Could be both, who knows? Without actually examining individuals, you can't tell. It's just a general statement, but it's a valid question. Because, we join the Facebook groups and everyone's like banging on about protein. You've got to get so much protein. The message can get lost, and finding what's right for you can get lost. So yeah, too much can cause GI issues. It can cause kidney issues. And hang on, bear with me. Not trying to scaremonger. If you have too much protein and you've overwhelmed the system, what will happen is it gets turned to urine. But by turning it into urine, it puts a heavier demand on your kidneys. Now, most people, normal, healthy people, will probably be fine. But done quite consistently, or if you have kidney issues already, so if you have type 2 diabetes and there's a strain on the kidneys anyway, you could be adding more strain to them by increasing your protein too much. Now, I'd like to think that if that's you and you do have a bit of a kidney issue, that you're a type 2 diabetic, I'd like to think that you're going to have doctor support, and so you can kind of go, don't worry, Jen, I know all this, I'm looked after, cool, great. I worry that some of you may be watching this and go, oh, that sounds like me and no one's helping me. If that's the case, I'd really go to the GP and ask them and say, They hopefully know you're on Mounjaro or Ozempic and you're type 2 or you've got kidney issues. Having that discussion, can someone help me work out exactly what's right for my body? And then they can have a look at your body mass, maybe send you for a scan and work out what's going to be best and specific for you or give you a plan. A nutritionist can't tell you what to eat. They can't give you a meal plan. A dietitian can, they are qualified to do so. So I'm not a dietitian. I do have nutrition qualifications. So I can advise for a healthy, balanced diet, but I can't endorse fad diets, extreme diets, and I can't bespoke prescribe, here's your meal plan, go and eat sausage and egg every day or whatever the hell I come up with next week for whoever. So amounts wise of protein, they normally say 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of weight. So if you know what weight you are in kilos, 0.8 of that. Now, I know that's a bit of a headache with maths. With being on Mounjaro or Ozempic, I'd recommend going up to 1. So that makes maths easier. So going up to 1. So if you're 50 kilos, then you're going to have 50 grams a day. If you're 100 kilos, you're going to have 100 grams a day. It's relatively easy maths that way. You could go up to 1.5. So if you want to really, if you feel like maybe you're experiencing some of the lacking of it, like your hair's not right, your nails aren't great, you're worried you're losing muscle, you could go up to 1.5. Okay, so again, that's easy maths. You just divide in half and add. So you're 100 kilos, you divide in half, 50, you're 150 grams. Easy peasy. Some athletes tend to go like for 2 grams per kilo. If you are on that and it's working for you, then, fine, stay with it if that's what you've determined is best for you. That sort of is more sort of the area where you're probably going to overload your system. So if you've sort of been having the 2 kilos, if you sort of been having, don't have 2 kilos per kilo, that'd be a nightmare. But if you've been having 2 grams per kilo and you're finding that you're having some like bloating issues or wind, diarrhea and stuff, it could be linked to that. So maybe just back off, just try like 1.5 for a bit and see how you get on. And again, as I say, it can cause kidney issues. So, maybe if you're getting some lower backache out of nowhere, it could be linked to your kidneys. Could be, not trying to scaremonger. Any problems, any worries, I'm not a doctor. Go to a GP, get someone to physically look at you. I can give general advice. I can't give individual advice. I've not seen you. I have no idea. Any worries, any problems, go and see a doctor. So try and spread out throughout the day. So, maybe if you are on 100 kilos, just again, ease of mass, 100 kilos, 100 grams a day, spread it out between 3 meals. So 100 grams would be basically like 3 30-gram meals. A lot of the protein products kind of push 20 to 30 grams. So trying to aim for 30 grams in each meal, breakfast, dinner and evening meal. It could be that you have your normal breakfast and then you have a load of Greek yogurt with some berries or a bit of cereal or something. Or maybe instead of having maybe you have overnight oats. Maybe you normally have porridge in the morning. Try overnight oats and get the oats. Add a load of Greek yogurt in. I think it'll be about 100 grams of Greek yogurt is normally about 15 grams of protein. So, you're talking of like half a tub of Greek yogurt. But it's gold. It's good stuff. It's great for your body. Dollop it in, dollop it on. So it could mean you end up having 2 smaller meals, having what you typically have and a little bit extra protein specific. If you're not able to add the protein into your meal, I'm having my jam on toast and Jen, I'll fight you until the end. Fine, have your jam on toast. I don't want to fight. Can't really add protein to jam and toast. You could add peanut butter. It's fat, but it does have protein in. So you could have peanut butter and jam on toast. Now, if you're looking at me and thinking I'm weird, I think that's weird. That's what my husband would have. But so you can add things in like that. Or as I say, have a piece of jam and toast and having a little bowl of granola with Greek yogurt. And then you say, oh, but what about my calories? Well, I don't count calories. So that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that you're getting the nutrients to fuel your body and give it the right protein and what it deserves. So, maybe if weight loss stalls a little bit, maybe have half a piece of toast. It'd be better to keep the protein in and sacrifice a little bit of the toast or have less jam or something. But I say I haven't counted calories and I've been fine. Weight loss has plateaued at times, as it does. Your body wants to try and catch up on itself. It's part of life, and just trying to stay hydrated. So making sure you're drinking plenty. If you're not hydrating enough, you tend to go a little bit lightheaded at times. You do tend to dehydrate a little bit on Mounjaro and Ozempic, so just watching for that. Keeping hydrated will help relieve any strain on the kidneys. So if your protein is maybe a little bit on the high side, having the extra water will help keep them happy. I'm more of a fan of whole foods as well. So whole foods rather than the protein puddings. I never thought I'd say that. I was endorsing them like 2 years ago. It's like protein puddings are the answer to all life's problems. I'm not really a fan of them. Now there's a brilliant book called Ultra Processed People. In that it talks about heavily processed food. So kind of like protein's not, it's used in the gym world and for fitness, and it's quite sexy in that way, quite brandable. You've got all these different brands of protein powder, and it is kind of becoming a thing. But, trying to market and brand a steak and say, come buy Madame Moo's burger of the month, is not really that sellable. Whole food, healthy protein doesn't sell. UPF, ultra processed foods, does. It's basically where profitability has gone ahead of, or interests in profitability have been pushed further than caring about the consumer. So, the companies that create food, typically, they only care about the profit. They don't care what they're doing to our waistlines, to our bodies, to our health. All that they care about is making sure that they have money for their shareholders at the end of the month or end of the year. And protein companies, I kind of see the same. So, if you are a fan of protein bars and protein shakes and stuff, I've had my fair share, thinking, oh great, I'm getting all my protein in here. But you're not getting that variety of, like fiber, about the vitamins, about the minerals, the other stuff that fuel your body. It's almost like comparing, you've got, I don't know, a Vauxhall Corsa and a Jag. And, they're both cars. They've got 4 wheels. But it's not the same. And like protein from a protein bar and protein from a steak or beans, it's not the same. They're not the same as in the bar. They're missing so much goodness. It's like the mentality that we have as consumers is still there, that we must all still have a chocolate bar at lunch. The great British dinner of a sandwich, packet of crisps and a chocolate bar, it's kind of still the same. Well, I'll replace my chocolate bar with this nice, super duper healthy protein bar. And your whole system deserves so much more. It deserves all the fiber, all the vitamins, all the minerals. You've got an entire gut microbiome. So flora, it's like a garden. You've got this garden of bugs in your belly. I know it sounds gross actually when I say it like that. You've got this huge garden of bugs in your belly, and there's helpful ones and there's unhelpful ones. A lot of UPF fuels the unhealthy ones. So they grow in abundance and they overwhelm the healthy ones, and they aren't allowed to thrive. Whereas by focusing on whole foods and avoiding UPF, you are able to fuel and fill and love and nurture all your helpful gut microbiome, all the bacteria. You will help fuel all that and make it thrive, which will help your metabolism when you come off Mounjaro or Ozempic. And that will be overwhelming the non-helpful bacteria. And the non-helpful bacteria, there are studies actually showing that can send signals up to your brain and make you crave things. So quite often your cravings that you're having were either sort of like insulin, blood sugar led. They can be microbiome led. So the unhelpful gut bacteria are starving and they want their chocolate or whatever the hell that they're craving. And they can actually, I'll have to do that one on a nerd alert at some point. I can't remember when the study was done, but it did go to show that they had ways to hijack your brain and make you eat what they wanted to eat, which is quite scary. That bacteria in your gut can do that. But, you want to look after it. You want to have all the nice healthy ones because, you want them craving the nice healthy stuff, not the unhelpful ones craving the not so healthy, helpful stuff. And then the last point on the UPF, like the bars and the protein powders, they tend to be broken down quicker into the body. So that can be handy. If you need to get protein in quickly, it can be handy. But it also means that you can actually flood your system again with the amino acids, which kind of goes back to the GI issues. So having like bloating, discomfort, can actually come from some of the more the powders. But when you think about it, the powder is a powder, it's already broken down, whereas if you're eating a bean and you've got the bean starts to break down in your mouth, so you start chomping on it, there's bacteria in your mouth that starts digesting it. It then goes into your stomach, has a churn around, and goes into your digestive tract, where everything breaks it down further, and it's quite a slow process. Whereas if you swallowed a powder or a gloopy protein bar or whatever, or pudding thing, and it's slurping down, it's quite quick to assimilate because it was kind of already mush that's been put together. So I'm only going to go over this quickly, examples of high protein foods, just because I know you can all Google and go on Google high protein food ideas, or ask ChatGPT and say, give me protein ideas for whatever, and it will come up with stuff. I might go into the local Aldi. We have an Aldi here, and it's like half an hour pretty much to any other shop, so pretty much everything's Aldi to me. I might go in there and do a little cart around shopping trip, with suggestions, key things that I found that have worked for me, and ideas. It might be an interesting video. So what has high protein? Well, lean meats. So I'd sort of say avoid fatty meats if you can. So going for mince, where it's 5% or low 5% fat, or low percent, 0% fat, whatever. The lower you go with the fat content, the more protein you're getting per that 100 grams. So if you're not able to eat a lot, it makes sense to try and ramp up the protein as much as you can. So lean meats, chicken, turkey. So poultry is typically lean. Fish is great. Fish is quite low in calories. So if you're going to be calorie counting, go for fish. I used to have prawns. So they do little packets of coriander and garlic prawns, I think. I'd have one of them for my snack. So I just keep them in the fridge and eat them. And then I overdosed on them. I can't face them anymore. So, maybe spice it up and just have one a week. Don't go every day, twice a day, because you'll end up never eating them again after a week. Eggs are brilliant. Eggs are one of the weird foods. It's counted as a full protein, a whole protein. So eggs are really good. Dairy, yogurt, cheese. Greek yogurt is amazing stuff. So if you look at Greek yogurt, if you're thinking UPF and everything, if you look at the Greek yogurt, I can't remember. I think the main component. So when you're looking at labels, it will come up with the main food, the main item that's within that food is listed first, and then the smaller ones are listed subsequently. So there's bigger ones first, and then the smallest, minutest thing is last. Greek yogurt is 100% milk or yogurt. I don't remember whether they put milk or yogurt, and then it says and cultures. That is great for your microbiome. So you're fueling your microbiome with cultures. It's brilliant stuff. So Greek yogurt all the way. 100 grams of Greek yogurt and 100 grams of protein pudding, not the same at all. I know which one I would choose. You've also got beans, lentils, nuts, seeds. Chickpeas are really good as well. So how much protein do you need? For 0.8 grams per kilo, but with Mounjaro and Ozempic, I'd sort of say 1. You could go up to 1.5. You can go up to 2, but I'd be sort of worrying. I'd want to know why you're going up to 2. If somebody came to me and said, Jen, I'm on 2 grams per kilo, I'd want to kind of say, okay, cool. What training are you doing and why? So I just want to know what the purpose was for that. And then they can turn around and say, it's none of your business, Jen. And it's well, why did you tell me? Why did you want this conversation? Easy way, so adding them to whatever you're having anyway. So adding nuts and seeds to salads. You can add them to salads. You can add nuts and seeds to your porridge in the morning. Greek yogurt all the way. Having Greek yogurt with berries. Some people freeze it. So if you get a tray in greaseproof paper, you can put it on, put some, I don't know, chocolate chips, fruits, berries, whatever, on top of the Greek yogurt, throw it in the freezer, and then you can break it off into frozen yogurt chunks with fruit. It's quite interesting to have. Oh, I wonder if you could have caramel with it. I don't know what would happen. Greek yogurt and then melted caramel in. I don't know. No, not really much of a chef, so who knows. Adding beans into stuff. So if you're making soup or a casserole or something, putting beans in, tins of beans, it's all good. And you don't have to have baked beans. You could have they do taco beans, so if you want a bit more of a Mexican taste and stuff. Beans are great. Greens and beans. I remember one doctor sort of saying greens and beans all the way. You should be having greens and beans every day. That's ultimate gold for your gut microbiome. And just planning your meals around protein. So I think we quite often, probably again back to the marketability of UPF, is we tend to focus our meals around and base them on UPF, on the carbohydrates and the fats and the stuff that they want to put a label on and sell and get a profit for. We don't plan our meals around the protein. We don't sort of say, right, what are we having tonight? Right, well, what protein shall we have? So, you know, if I'm planning meals, I'll tend to go, right, what shall we have tonight? Right, well, the main protein will be chicken. What meal shall we have? We're going to have a chickeny meal. What we're going to have? Cool. Next, right, well, let's have fish the next day because we had chicken the day before. So what we're going to have the next day, it might be let's go for something like beans and lentils. What we're going to have, and sort of building the meals. I quite like the Pinch of Nom books. If you've never heard of Pinch of Nom, N-O-M. If you look for Pinch of Nom, they're really good recipes. They were based on Slimming World, and kind of having quite filling meals with sort of the free foods from Slimming World. They're quite good at helping you create new interesting meals that taste nice, and they're not really much faff, and they're going to be sort of either like low in calorie or nutrient dense, which is what you want. So that's kind of it. We're going on to the Q&A, which I think the amount of questions I've had is even longer than the main thing, so you have to bear with me. So Rachel, what are the symptoms of taking in too little protein? So this is quite useful to know. So how do you know that you're not having enough protein? Well, muscle loss and weakness would be kind of one of the main things, not being as strong as you were. But unless you're strength testing yourself, so you know that you can do 20 push-ups and then next month you can only do 15. I mean, you could just be tired that day, in fairness. But generally, if you're not testing yourself, how are you going to know, other than struggling with my shopping now and I don't know why? So yeah, decrease in strength would be one of the signs, but that might take a while for it to show, and it might be difficult to do if you're not testing it already. Hair thinning, hair loss, skin issues, so dry, flaky skin or getting like rashes, and your nails being quite brittle. So, I'm going to give myself a little round of applause here. My nails have always been atrocious, and they're actually growing. On Mounjaro, they're actually growing. I've got long ones, not all of them, but they've never grown. Your immune system can weaken, so you might find that you're more susceptible to illness and infections. Fluid retention can occur, so you might find that you're bloating all over, or maybe just in your legs or abdomen. You might feel like you're slow to heal. You might have a cut. It might be taking a while to rebuild those skin cells because you're not getting enough protein into your diet to rebuild. Can cause mood changes, a bit of brain fog, and not having like mental clarity. And you can start feeling more hungry because you're just not getting the protein in. It does really help with keeping full. So hopefully all of that gives you an idea of what to look for. Unfortunately, a lot of those symptoms are symptoms of Mounjaro anyway. But then it's one of those, are they symptoms of Mounjaro, or is it that you're not taking enough protein or whatever? It can be anything. We are very quick to blame. It's Mounjaro that's done that, or it's Ozempic that's done that. And it's like, well, how do you know? It's you've done a few changes. You've changed how much you're eating, drinking, and everything else as well. So, and the type of foods. So it could be. It probably is Mounjaro, but, it could be a lot of different things. So having a little bit of a meddle and altering might be helpful. So Helen's got 3 questions. So the first one, what is the least heavy way to get in protein when you're not hungry? So trying to avoid heavy meals and going for light options. So little things tend to be the best way. Eggs. I quite like boiled eggs. I've got one of those little boiler dome things, and you put them in. So I'll put them in, boil them, put them in cold water straight after so they peel easy, and then I'll throw them in the fridge, and so then I can have an egg a day. So yeah, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. One of my favourite ones actually, I've not had one of these for ages now, you got me thinking, is bacon butty. So bacon medallions. The bacon gets a bad rap. It does have a lot of salt in, but bacon gets a bad rap because a lot of people think streaky bacon and it's riddled with fats and stuff. And if you go for bacon medallions, there's no fat in that. And then if you fry it, it's going to get all the fat in. So, don't do that. Bacon medallions in the air fryer or grilled. So if you've got an air fryer or grill them, bacon medallions on a butty. That is actually a really good way. I know it's bread, but, brown bread would be better. But, having loads of bacon on one piece of bread, perfect. But bacon medallions are packed full of protein. I can't remember because I've not had it for a while. I can't recall what the protein value is. But that is a really good way. If a bacon butty sounds like your ideal scenario, then having a bacon butty as your mid-afternoon snack is a great one. Just make sure you're going easy on the bread. Don't have it too thick, and you can just have one slice of bread and just stuff it full of bacon, whole packet of bacon. What's the easiest way to get protein in when you're vegan? It's not easy. I was pescatarian for a while, and that was tough at times. There's only so much fish you can eat before you start rethinking things, but it is more difficult. Beans, lentils, chickpeas, hummus is really good. So especially if you're looking for a light option, hummus, going for nuts and seeds, all good options. You can get like tofu, and there's other vegan options that you can get, but it is hard to get the protein percentage that you really could do with following a vegan diet. Is one of those challenges. Can't really help that other than you can just trying to get the volume in. I'm trying to get a variety, so trying to have a little bit of lots of different things is probably going to be a better and easier way to make sure you're getting a good range of proteins there. And what is the best and tastiest protein powder without ingredients like xanthan gum? I can't pronounce it. Xanthan gum, xylitol, stabilizers, etc. So avoiding like the UPF side of things. So I can't recommend. I don't really have protein powder. I used to, and then I was awful because I just looked at it as what's going to give me the most protein with the least amount of calories, because it was always about getting my protein up and my calories down. So what's the most protein I can have from any brand? What's the most protein, lowest calories, and cheapest? So I always had that third option. I'm not spending 50 quid for a tub of protein powder, refuse. So I can't really recommend. However, I know I've heard the names Naked Nutrition, that uses grass-fed cows, so it's a lot more sort of organic and higher quality. Or there's Orgain, Organic, and Garden of Life, which are both pea-based. So don't know how tasty they are. Don't really know. But yeah, so it's not really sort of the angle I go down, but there's 3 brands for you to have a little look at: Naked Nutrition, Orgain Organic, Garden of Life. If anybody wants to give me feedback as to what they're like, feel free to put it in the comments or let me know. Allison's asked, how do you know you're getting enough protein every day? So it's kind of, like I said earlier, making sure, you're feeling good. Like, if you cut yourself, it heals quite easy. You're getting stronger, hopefully, or, you're noticing muscle definition, or, that sounds really bad. I'll catch my arm and it'll be like, oh gosh, I can really feel my bicep. And it's like, must be all right. Can't be losing too much if it's there. So, looking for strength. A strength test is a really good way. So doing a monthly strength test, and it can look like however, it doesn't really matter, push-ups, planks, whatever, like sort of key movements or key weights that you've got, and having 3 or 4 movements, and just what's the maximum amount you can manage without failing, or do it to failure. So you're just basically doing as many push-ups. So push-ups is an example. You're doing as many push-ups as you can until you literally can't do any more. Make a note in your diary. And then it's just another metric, another measurement. So when you're not shifting on the scales, or your inches haven't been changing, you've got another test you can do. It's like, oh, I feel like I plateaued this week. Oh, I know, I'll do my strength test, and you can see. And it could be that you've plateaued because you've actually built a bit of muscle, and you can do an extra 2 push-ups. Who knows? But it'll give you an idea. But the main way is to measure your macros. And as I say, like, if you're doing like 1 gram per kilo, just bear in mind that, if you've got 100 grams of chicken breast, it won't be 100 grams of protein. So making sure that you've checked what protein percentage sort of would be in that chicken. It will mostly be protein. I can't think of the numbers because, as I say, I haven't been checking for ages. When I'm obsessed and I'm checking, I'll know the numbers, but then my brain fills with other fluff. So it's about trying to get your day to day. So work out 1 gram per kilo, and try and get that in like 3 meals or 5 meals. If you prefer little and often, go for 5 meals and try and get that in. Okay, so Daniel's asked a good one. If you're just trying to lose fat rather than bulk up or grow muscle, why is protein so important, and why count it? And he says years ago, people on a diet never bothered. Is protein the next fad? So hopefully from the podcast, I've covered it's not really a fad. It is one of the key important macros. So somebody did ask on the Q&A actually about carbs and fats. And I said, how much should I be having of each? It doesn't really matter. That's my personal opinion. It doesn't really matter. If you eat mostly fats, your body will turn it to carbs when it needs to turn it to carbs. And if you eat most of the carbs, it will turn it to fat if you have too many anyway. So your body can turn fat and carbs into each other, basically, putting it very, very simply. Protein, however, you can't get from anything else. So other than breaking down and getting certain amino acids, you need to eat the protein to get those key amino acids. And from a diet, people dieting in the past haven't really concentrated on it, because I think it's always been like, we've always wanted to be skinny, like, especially like when you sort of think about in the 90s and it was like size 0 and everybody wanted to just be literally like bone, or, I was born in 1985. So, I remember being at high school and, you wanted that. I want to look frail. I wanted to look, you didn't want to look strong and muscular. That would be like horrendous. Especially if you're a girl. I was always quite, my weight would go up and down. I was always quite muscular, but I was either muscular and fat or muscular. And, I got called you're a man. I was striving getting called a man, called a beast, called a whale. Also, anyway, we're getting to digressing. But it was always that I need to starve myself and look stick thin, because, you wanted that supermodel, skinny boy look. You wanted that, that skinny, there's nothing of me look, the bony look. And so, you're not going to want to eat protein if you want to look bony. I imagine that protein was used a lot by bodybuilders initially at first, a complete guess. Western diets are very carb heavy. So I think that's why people kind of keep pushing like the Atkins diet, the keto diet, and trying to push these like carnivore, full-on protein diets, because we are often heavily consuming carbohydrates at the detriment to protein, because most of the food we're eating is carbohydrate or fat, and then we're not getting the protein in. So by eating more of the protein, it means we're eating less of the carbohydrates. And not that carbohydrates are bad, they're fine. It's just, as I say, you can get carbohydrates from fats and fats from carbohydrates. So it doesn't really matter on a whole, in my personal opinion. Everyone's different and each individual's different, but generally speaking, I really wouldn't worry about them pair. As long as you're not getting less than 20%. So any diet that has 20% or less carbs, 20% or less fats, 20% or less protein, any diet involving 20% or less is considered like an extreme diet. I'm not qualified as a personal trainer. I'm not allowed to recommend any diet where you're having 20% less or less of a particular macronutrient. You want to have a nice balanced diet, and to have balance, each has to be around 30-40%. If you are worried you're not eating 20%, so 20% of your calories aren't coming from fats or 20% aren't coming from carbs, you probably are. It's quite difficult to go under 20% deliberately. If you're worried, monitor, get like MyFitnessPal, or I think NutriCheck people are using these days a lot. Get one of them, monitor what you're having and get an idea, but you want to be having over 20% of each. And it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, it doesn't matter how it's split. Some people will argue with me on that and say, no, high fat all the way, fine. Other people will say there's no way I could train on high fat doing triathlon or whatever, so, I need my carbs, fine. On a whole, I figure the body just takes care of itself and it's going to work itself out, whatever you choose. The body adapts, so whichever one you go with, it'll adapt. And if you're not getting the results you want in training or in life, then you might need to change what's working for you. You might need to change how much fat you're having or how much carbs you're having, but on a whole, fine. Anyway, gone off on a tangent again. Corporations, back in the 60s, corporations found the bliss point, which is a combination of sugar, salts, and fats. So it's like the ideal combination of the three in any food, which creates people wanting more. So they exploited it. They wanted to stuff it in all the food. So if you had a cereal and a cereal brand and you were putting it on the shelves, you wanted to have a certain level of salt, sugar, and fat. That level would create a desire to consume more. So then if they consume more, they're going to need to buy more, and then you're going to sell more, and then you're going to have more money. So it started in the 60s, it was going on through to the 80s. You know, they didn't care about what was happening with the waistlines. They didn't care about to be honest, they probably didn't even think about an obesity crisis. It was just very much about getting the brand nice and big and making money. There is a book called Salt, Sugar, Fat, How the Food Giants Hooked Us by Michael Moss. I have not read it. I will be adding it to my read list, so it's one on my many list of books that I need to read. It looks very good. I've heard good things. But again, and that's sort of why it's like, a lot of the big food companies have done this to us, really. That's, our diets are a mess because they altered the food. They made us want more. Come on, McDonald's. Sorry, I'm picking on McDonald's. McDonald's, they sponsor football teams and football things and the World Cup or whatever the hell. I don't know. They build logos everywhere like, McDonald's, we're so into sport. What the hell is that? Where's that come from? Like, McDonald's, you really don't care about sport, mate. Anyway, ranting again. So back to protein. The protein powders, in my eyes, we're just at risk of doing the same thing. But, at the end of the day, they're looking after a profit and a company, not our health. And I'm sure there'll be companies in the protein market with a better attitude than what has been going on historically. But, you can get everything you need to have a super duper healthy, awesome body from Whole Foods. So if you can avoid them, I would. But, if you don't want to avoid them, you don't have to. It's your choice, it's your body, and it's your decision. It's fine. We don't all have to agree all the time. It's all good. So I hopefully answered that, Daniel. Hopefully answered why, it's not about bulking up or grow muscles, but you're going to potentially lose them. So you need to kind of eat enough protein to make sure you don't lose them. Otherwise, you're going to be in a worse metabolic state once you're at target weight. And it's not a fad. I think, keto, carnivore, they're all like extreme diets where it's like less than 20% in macros and stuff. And it's I can't justify or endorse those. Moving on, Carla, I'd like to know some good sources of protein, especially for snacks, as I'm getting bored of chicken and steak as a no-go on MJ. So someone had replied actually saying, why is steak a no-go? Personally, steak's fine. But I'm guessing Carla's found that steak isn't agreeing with her whilst on Mounjaro. Chicken can get a bit boring. You can, I know it's not the same, but you can get a lot of a pinch of nom. They do have a lot of chicken recipes in there, like different sauces and marinades and things. And, that can really spice it up a little bit rather than having bland chicken all the time. Fish, tuna, like I used to have all the prawns all the time, like little packets of prawns from the deli in Aldi. And, having those, you can get like, I know they're a bit processed, but, like the meats and stuff. So like salami, pepperoni and things like that, you can do that. Cheese. So, having, cheese can be high in calorie. So, just be wary of that if you are calorie counting, I refuse to count cheese. I've had this little joke with someone the other day about, life should be more than weighing cheese. So and Greek yogurt, I was a big fan of Greek yogurt and bacon butties. So there's quite a few things you can have. Fish, beans, lentils. Beans are great for you. So hopefully I've covered kind of enough. I'll probably do a whole thing, as I say, go around the supermarket and film something, try and do it early in the morning so no one sees me. Kathleen says, really interesting, thank you. I made it my focus when starting Mounjaro to build more muscle and focus on my protein levels. I've only lost 12 pounds of weight in 3 months, but gained 22 pounds of muscles by cutting my calories and getting as much protein as I can. I had a metabolic age of 74 when starting out, and she says she's 60. So well done, Kathleen. So no question there, but that is awesome. The fact that, you changed your metabolic age by adding the protein in and adding the strength training in. I'm assuming you're having strength training. You might not have been, you've not actually said so. But build more muscle. So anyway, 14 years you've changed on your metabolic life, your journey. So cracking. And and that's just it. That's just in 3 months. So well done. Down, as we say in Wales. Linda, when I can't eat as much, are protein drinks, bars, are etc. okay? Better than nothing, or should they be limited? I've hopefully kind of covered that already. They're better than nothing. They're going to get your protein in, they're going to give you the essentials that you need, but I say it's feeding them a gut microbiome. You want to really feed your body with whole foods where possible. So, having off days or, a snack where you're having a protein bar, shake, whatever, is good. It's fine. It's your body and your choice. If you have Greek yogurt and you're like, oh God, I can't stand this and I want my chocolate protein pudding, it means you're going to get your protein in. Get your protein in. Doesn't matter what don't worry about other people's judgment. I'm not going to judge you. We have enough battles in our day-to-day lives without adding extra unnecessary ones. So take the win where you can. So she said, and are whey protein or vegan protein drinks better? As I say, I'm not really a fan of protein drinks at all anymore, but vegan protein drinks are better for vegans. So, if you are vegan, go with the vegan protein drink. You're not going to want to start drinking a normal protein drink and go, oh, it's not vegan. It'd be a bit disappointing. Beyond disappointing, to be fair. But there's not going to be really a universal answer. There's, better itself, which is better. There's always different, which is better. One might be cheaper than the other. Does that make it better? It's like, well, if you're trying to save money, it will be better. One might be lower in calorie than the other. And if you're trying to reduce your calories and nail your calories, then that one's going to be better. One might have different chains that you're not getting from any other part of your diet. So that one might be better. So there's not really a better. You'd have to kind of, think about what it is you're having and what purposes it is that you're having. You want a protein drink because you want it to be tasty and that you're just going to get your protein in and that it's going to be there and going to be done, then, go for the one that's going to be the most convenient and easy for you to get, or the one that, as I say, I tend to look at what's going to give me the most protein for 100 grams with the least amount of calories and is the cheapest. So there would be my three criteria. But that's just me. And, other people would say, well, actually, no, I really want good quality organic sources. Choose the best quality organic sourced one and, choose what's right for you and own it. Okay, so two more and then we're done, I promise. So Michelle, she said she fasts, so she really struggles to get protein in on 1 or 2 meals a day. Do I have any tips? So if fasting's working well for you, then obviously stick with it. Anyone that's thinking of fasting, there is science that says it does work. It helps your microbiome. But generally, when I've looked at the science and the studies, the general recommendation is basically don't eat 3 hours before bed. So if you are thinking of fasting, sorry, Michelle, I know I'm sidetracking. If you are thinking of fasting, you can just do it 7 till 7, so a 12-hour fast, which then gives you a lot more opportunities to get more meals in rather than just 1 or 2 meals in the day if you've only got a short fasting window. It is proven to sort of have just the same amount of benefits or close to the benefits as more extreme fasting timescales. Trying to get your protein in 1 or 2 meals a day. Check your protein macros that you need. So, as I say, like 1 gram per kilo might not actually be, you might be trying to actually maybe feel pressured to get more than that in. So, 100 kilos, you're going to be sort of 100 grams, trying to get 50 grams in 2 meals. I'm not gonna lie, that's gonna be tough. And the other thing is like some people insist you can only absorb like 20 grams every 3 hours or 30 grams every 3 hours. I did look into the data on that and ended up going around in a circle and getting lost. So I will have to look into that again. But I think it's been disputed, so you'll have to bear with me on that one. I'm gonna look into it. Little and often, I don't know what your time scale is for what your fasting window is, but just trying to basically focus what the meals that you're having, focus on protein. Your energy is going to look after itself. So if you focus on protein and you don't get any, or, I don't want to endorse less than 20% fats and carbohydrates, but if you're struggling, I'd sort of prioritize the protein because you've got fat stores. We're on this for weight loss or for diabetes. We're even like the leanest athletes have a lot of fat stores still to use and to burn. And if your body is getting depleted of energy, it will just burn the fat stores. It's not really a big problem. It's just slow. So it's only really a big problem if you are involved in sport and like you're doing sprints or something and you're crashing because you've not got enough energy it's a longer process to break down your fats to create the energy in your muscles. Trying to maximize your eating window and get as much of the protein in as you can. And that's it. I don't really know what window you're looking at. And last one, Jenny says the ideal amount of protein you should be taking. Many calculators out there are ranging from 0.75 grams per pound to 1.2 per kilo of body weight. So yeah, it's just to highlight, if you're doing this, it's normally done per kilo. So 0.8 per kilo is probably the bare minimum. 1 gram per kilo is ideal, really, and then go up to 1.5. And as I say, sort of as earlier, you could go up to 2 grams per kilo, but you might start agitating your hydration in your kidneys. We're all different. You might be taking 2 grams already per kilo, and that's working for you. So, it's fine. Yeah, stick with it if it's feeling good. If you have known kidney issues or diabetes, type 2 diabetes, you might not want to be going that high up. Only a dietitian can really recommend. I'd like to think, as I say, that if you're type 2 diabetic or you've got kidney issues, that there's someone on your journey, a physician that is looking in on your numbers and helping you with that. And if you don't have that, go and hassle your GP, see if they can get that for you, because you could be making something worse. You're on this journey to make your body better, and I'd hate for you to sort of make it worse. If you're worried that you're too high, just back off a little bit. As long as you're not going under 1 gram per kilo, you should be fine. So hopefully that's helped. I will do more episodes on protein and go around Aldi and invade their aisles and film what's good and what's hot and what's not. So thank you very much for tuning in and listening to me again today. I do appreciate it, and I like the little comments that come up and stuff. It does take a while to film, and then to edit, it does take a while, and it's great to know that people are watching and it's being of help. So next week's episode, I'm going to be brave here, running to lose weight. So will it help you lose weight, and is it safe to do when you're overweight? So we're going to kind of cover running to lose weight, the benefits, the issues with getting onto it, how to get started. I'm also going to look at getting a training plan and together on. I do a lot of training plans on Training Peaks, which are really cool because they'll plug into like one of your watches. So if you're going to go for a run, like if you're doing like couch to 5K sort of thing, I can do like a couch to 5K. I have got one. I might have to have a little look and do a purpose one. But you can, but it'll tell you when your watch will buzz at you and stuff and say, right, run, walk and stuff. And I can do little notes and things, so when you log in the computer and you can see how much faster you're getting or what your heart rate's doing and stuff. It's so cool. I like geeking over these things. So I'm going to add that in. So I'll do a training plan specifically, and I'll do the episode on running to lose weight. And if you sort of think, oh God, I'm not watching that, I'm never running. I used to say that. I remember doing, I did the virtual London Marathon one year. I remember setting off in the morning, and I just had this memory flashback at school. So we were doing cross country at high school, and I walked the whole thing because I was not running. And I remember turning around to my friend and saying, I don't even know why we have to do this. It's not like I'm ever going to run a marathon. And the memory just got swamped and absorbed in whole life. And I just remember setting off just from my house, got round the corner, and that memory just came flooding back to me. So that'll be next week's episode. So I hope you all have a nice week. Any questions on running and getting started with running, learning to love running? Because you do think, it's one of those things you learn to love them when you've learned to settle down with it. Anyway, this is going to end up next week's podcast now, so we're not talking about it now. Take care, enjoy your week, crack on.